Okay, this is take two. I did a whole video on this, and this was the final picture. And something happened. My camera was shut off, like it never turned on or something. I don't know what happened. So I'm going to go over this again. It was fascinating, and so we're going to do this again real fast. This is called the Literary Witches Oracle. This was originally a book, The Literary Witches, and now they put out an oracle deck. This is done by Clarkson Potter. It's an imprint of Penguin Random House. So this is actually done by a publisher, a book publisher. They do it every once in a while. They do decks, and this is one of them. It just came out this week, I think. I couldn't find a review of it, so this is going to be the first one, I think, online or close to it. I just got this yesterday. The book was written by Tasia Kataiskaya and then illustrated by Katie Horan, and I think the Oracle deck is done by the same people. It's a beautiful hardbox deck. It's gorgeous. It's very, very beautiful. Very heavy linen cards, heavy linen box, all matte. Simply beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Comes with a nice little book, small book, but it has, so we have the, I'm going to go over this. This is my cards that I pulled. I'll put those over there. It comes, the deck, now I saw shuffled and I didn't go back and change it. I should, but I'm not going to. It comes, there's two different kinds of cards on this deck. There's the witches, which are the writers, and then there are the tools of the witches. So you have two different types of cards. There's more tools than there are witches. And here's I pulled this. So what you get in the deck is a series of women writers who are the witches, and then you get these tools, which are different, different kind of cards. So there's really two different types of cards in the deck. It is a 70-card deck. The guidebook is really good. I mean, it has full color pictures of the ladies. And then it has their keyword, which is actually on the card, like this is Joyce Harjo, bravery. And then it has, if you look her up, she's a poet laureate here in the United States. It's all alphabetical. So she's bravery, which is on the card. And then plunging in, making decisions, fear. And then it gives a short bio of all the ladies, all the women. And the book encourages you to, take a card of one of the witches and then go in and read the short bio. And then if you're interested, go and read some of their work. So we're going to, now, the other thing that I talked about, which I probably should separate all this out, but I just spent like a half an hour. It was a long video. The interesting thing about these cards is, for the most part, the picture is what's stated, which is kind of weird. You think you'd have a picture and then you'd have like a key word for something, like sex or, whatever they want to. They have cat, and they just have a picture of cat, and then they have the word cat, where it'd be good to have at least one keyword on there, So apple, the senses, hunger, sex. You could put, the senses or something. So they have. That's the odd thing about this deck, which kind of makes you wonder who approved the design, because you'd want keywords, or you don't have to have anything. You could just have the picture, and then have people just figure, go on their own. So what we're going to do is we're going to just lay these out. Now, I just laid the cards out for inspiration, and this was my inspiration spread. Just what should I be inspired with today? And oddly enough, I got Joy Harjo. She just came to my area. She was at the Shawk Institution. She closed the season out. I could have seen her if I had been paying attention. So I missed that opportunity, as usual. And so it's sort of like for inspiration. She's had a very interesting life. I think I'll read about her. And then the senses and, no, that was the senses, right? And the cat is, of course, you can make your own meanings. The untamed self-ownership of watching. So, I could have, and I'll talk about her, I'll read her little bio. So the senses and the untamed. In other words, for inspiration, use my senses, be untamed, be wild with my senses. And then also consider Joy Harrow. Her life was, she's an American Indian. And I'll read her. Her keyword is bravery. Be brave. Plunging in, making decisions, fear. Harjo, a common Mekaki Creek Nation means so brave she's crazy. Joy Harjo was born in 1951, courageously survived an oppressive childhood, teenage pregnancy, and domestic abuse before becoming a spiritually charged poet of wild natural imagery and urgent social activism, as well as an award-winning saxophone player and singer. She does perform. It's kind of interesting. So she's a very creative person, has multiple aspects to her creativity. She's a writer, she's a poet, she's a saxophone player. I mean, that kind of covers it all, doesn't it? And so this is for inspiration for me. I just pulled these cards and I got her and I got, following Be Untamed and Follow My Senses and use all that in my artwork. So that was pretty wonderful. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to lay these cards out as we go along. I'm hoping this is in the... Okay, great. It is in the frame. Awesome. So we're going to show you some of these cards, all the cards, and we're just going to put them on top of each other. So Yumiko Kurasahashi, Transformation. I. Now there you go. Now, I is I. I don't know about that. Elixir. Eel. Now that's interesting. It's in the sign of, what do you call those? The infinity sign, but it's an eel, it's not a snake, which is kind of strange. Not sure what that's about. But maybe eels are used in witches' brews, I don't know. Lantern. In some ways it'd be better off without these keywords in it, because they're just redundant. House. So that's my only commentary, the negative commentary on this. The cards are beautiful. They're linen, high quality linen cards, and they're huge, which people might... I like small cards, but they're really beautiful. Hedgehog, glove, cauldron, moon. Always good to see a moon in there. Ghost, tree, toad. Let's look up toad. Let's see what they have to say about toad. Is that like a Prince thing? So it's all alphabetical, so you can find them pretty quickly. Except not so quickly. That's on the last page. Humor, the grotesque, joy. Interesting. Milk, the lion, braid, book. Some of these are sort of Lenormand-ish. Boar, bees, white dress, wall, volcano. Now, I think we have them mixed up in this, because I did shake the deck up, or shuffle them a little bit, but obviously I didn't shuffle them that well. Jamaica Kincaid, history. I've never read anything by her. Shirley Jackson, family. Surprised they don't have, I'm surprised by the absences of some writers, but we'll talk about that maybe. Zora Neale Hurston, because some of these writers are still alive. Doll, Creature's Paw, Chicken, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, Wings, Wildflowers, Alejandra Pissamick, Flannery O'Connor, she was a Southern writer, She used to write in bed, I remember reading. I read her short stories, I think, when I was out of college. Pond. Now here's an interesting, because it's kind of gray tones or black tones and a little yellow, white. That I'm not sure I could figure out what that is. I mean, you see the lotus flowers, so it's good it says pond there, but I mean, you just made the picture a little clearer and we'd know it's pond. Praying mantis, teacup, spider, snail, noose. Let's look up noose. Noose. Anxiety, threat, self-sabotage. Oh, that's a good one. Mushrooms. Leslie Marmon Silko. Community. Now another thing with these pictures, you could also just look at the picture and see she has a black cat here. There's very kind of quality of a high priestess almost with her. There's kind of a moon-like thing up here. Sappho. Love. Maria Sabina. Healing. I don't know anything about her. Eileen Chang. I think I read her stuff. Let's see. Chang. Eileen Chang, oh no, she's fate, outside forces, events falling into place, acceptance. Eileen Chang, 1920 to 1995, was born to an opium-addicted traditional Chinese father and a westernized mother who learned to ski on bound feet. Oh, brother. When 17-year-old Chang contracted dysentery, her father dismissed her claims of ill health and locked her up in her bedroom for 6 months. She escaped with the help of her nurse. Witty and stylish, Chang was famous in Shanghai for her fiction about troubled romance and family betrayal. Though she died as a recluse in Los Angeles, her work remains popular and beloved in China. I wonder if any of her stuff has been translated. I would think it has been. Oh boy. Oh yay. Skull. Rabbit. Toni Morrison. There she is. She just died this year. And I've read many things by Toni Morrison. Wonderful books. Mirabai. Audre Lorde. Mary Shelley of Frankenstein. Sylvia Plath, the poet. Anaïs Nin, the diarist. I read the stuff by Emily Dickinson. I read most of these women. Sandra Cisneros. Now I think she's still alive. The Body, and I've read her work. I guess it's hard to pick people because there's so many, but they could have made this deck bigger, they made the women, made more women, include more women. Yes, she's still alive. Born in working class, Sandra Cisneros, A Joy of the Body, Sorrows of the Body, The Senses. Born in a working class Chicago neighborhood to a Mexican father and Mexican-American mother, Sandra Cisneros, a birth 1954, navigates the richness and misogyny of both Mexican and American cultures. She vowed to never marry and to always have a house of her own. Her most famous book, The House on Mango Street, which I read, is a coming-of-age novel of saturated century vignettes. Is taught in elementary schools and colleges alike. Make sure to check out her poetry, which asserts a healthy sexuality, and her masterful short stories, too. That's kind of a weird... From a writing perspective, that's an odd... I wonder if they're her publisher. I have a feeling they may be her publisher. Anyways, she's still alive. That's cool. Agatha Christie. I read everything she's ever written. The Wolf. Emily Bronte. I looked at Emily Bronte. She died at 30. She had tuberculosis, died at 30. Virginia Woolf. Wonderful. Gertrude Stein. I read one of her books. Oh man, it was very experimental. It was hard to follow. But I soldiered through it as I did with Ulysses. Janet Frame. I don't know who she is. Oh, she's a New Zealand writer. I looked her up earlier. This nail is bothering me. Farrokhzad, Rebellion. Angela Carter, Identity. Anne Carson, The Intellect. Octavia Butler, African-American woman who writes science fiction. And Annika Akhmatova. I looked her up. She's a Russian writer who family barely survived. They lost a lot of people during Stalinism in Russia. So there you have it. Now, it seems like they could have included a lot more women in this. I'm thinking contemporary women, maybe, there's, and maybe even like not contemporary, like Dorothy Parker. That would have been good to have in there. Or maybe a Joyce Carol Oates or Margaret Atwood or, Canadian writer. For some reason, they didn't include some of the ones that are still alive or even some that have passed along that were a little different. But this is a good start, it's a good start. So that is the Literary Witches Oracle. It's a beautiful deck. I did do a little mini reading for myself. I was very happy with it. It was in my previous video that wasn't being, for some reason, taping. And I'm so glad that I got Joy Harjo. So it talks about, just taking a card and using it as inspiration for the day, or doing a past, present, and future layout. I think I would use it for inspiration. Like, what's my inspiration? How can I be inspired today? And pull 3 cards. I think that's how I'll use the deck. Be interesting to use it for other people as well. These cards are humongous, which is not my favorite thing, but they have a lot of presence, which I really like. They're very, very cool deck. Okay, so that's my walkthrough and quick review of the Literary Witches Oracle, a 70-card deck and guidebook. Have a great day.